In the last video, we discussed how to adapt individual activities and also how to reduce symptoms by using short activity periods. This time, we'll talk about 3 more ways to adapt activity. The first 2 have the bonus of giving you ways to get more done with the same amount of energy. The first strategy is activity shifting. Right there, activity shifting. This term means changing from one type of activity to another. For example, some people switch between physical, mental, and social activities. So let me put that down for you. Physical, mental, social. If they find themselves tired after working on the computer for a while, which is a mental activity, they might stop and call a friend, that is a social activity, or go to the kitchen to prepare a meal, physical activity, or they might take a break by lying down or watching TV. Another way to use task switching is to divide your activities into different categories of difficulty. For example, light, medium, and heavy. So that's light, medium, heavy. And when you look at your activities that way, you can switch frequently among the different types and also schedule only a few of the most taxing activities each day. Taxing is measured by the effects on symptoms. For many people, heavy activities will be physical things like vacuuming or shopping. But for some people, just standing up, talking on the phone, driving, or watching TV are very taxing. So your list will be unique to you and depend on how different activities affect your symptoms. Here's how one person describes her use of this strategy. I divide activities into light, moderate, and heavy, and then plan my day to alternate activities in the different categories. By pacing myself in this way, I can do more and minimize my symptoms. In fact, I'm amazed at all that I can do now in a day. So that's activity shifting. The second category, down here, deals with time of day. And the idea in this strategy is to schedule your activities based on the time of day. Most people with CFS and fibro find that they have better and worse times of the day. For some people, mornings are good, while others perk up later in the day. It's likely that you can get more done and have better control over your symptoms by changing when you do things so that you use your best hours for the most important or most demanding tasks. I'll add that on the slide as when most productive. Probably the most common pattern is a gradual improvement as the day wears on, with a slowing down in the evening. But for some people, mornings are the best times of day, for others, evenings. What's important is that you find your best time of day. One person in our program wrote that for her, morning is the best time for both mental and physical activity. She says that her window is between about 8 and 11 a.m. Another person was bothered by the effects of brain fog on her ability to read and to retain what she read. If she studied in the morning, she was able to read for only a half hour and had trouble remembering what she'd read. Then she decided to experiment with studying in the afternoon. She found that she had several hours of good mental attention if she started by taking a brief rest after lunch. After her rest, she could read for 2 30-minute sessions with a short break in the middle, and she was able to retain the information. Over time, she expanded her study time up to a total of about 2 hours a day. So experimenting with time of day enabled her to increase her study time greatly while also increasing her comprehension. The third strategy for activity management we call the rule of substitution, or pigs at a trough. This strategy is designed to provide you with a solution when something unexpected comes up. When that occurs, you may be tempted to do just one more thing, but this often leads to higher symptoms. The solution: think of substitution rather than addition. In order to add a new item to your schedule, drop one. So let me put that down here as add one, drop one. For example, if your envelope allows you to leave the house 3 times a week and something new arises, say the chance to visit with a friend, find a way to postpone one of the usual outings in order to honor your 3 times a week limit. This approach is sometimes called pigs at a trough. There's a limited amount of space beside a trough if the only way a new pig can get in is to squeeze out another pig. This strategy is easy to understand but a challenge to implement. I suggest you look at it as an example of something that we'll talk about in other videos, which is habit change. Let me give you a brief introduction to that topic here by switching down to the next slide. There we are. Habit change is gradual and involves 4 steps. It begins with awareness. That's step 1. Using the example of trips outside the house that I was just talking about, the first step is recognizing that the price that you pay for doing more trips in a week than your body can tolerate. At this stage, the goal is not to change any behavior, but rather to become aware of the consequences of continuing an old habit. That is, you increase your suffering if you try to have 4 outings a week rather than 3 if your body's limit is 3. The second step I call plan for a new behavior. And that is, this is a step where you create an alternative behavior that will replace your old way of doing things. Excuse me. In our example, the alternative is to drop one usual trip outside the house if a new trip is added. The key to success in this step is to plan a response ahead of time so that when a situation arises, you have a plan in place so that you can do something different than you used to do in the past. The third step down here focuses on thoughts and involves rewriting mental scripts. And I wrote that out as new thoughts. Continuing with the same example, the thought, I've got to see my friend, would be replaced by thoughts such as, when something unexpected comes up, I'll avoid a crash by postponing something. The fourth part of habit change is support. Having people around who understand and will support our efforts to change. Getting support may require that we educate family and friends about our limits and also the price we pay when we ignore them. We can also get support from other people with CFS and fibro, as well as from counselors. So that's it for this video. We talked about 3 ways that you can adapt activity, and that is by activity shifting, by being attentive to time of day, and by using substitution and not addition.